What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing my deep dive into Frank Zappa's Winter 1976 tour. Today I have two shows. I'm going to review them. I'm going to rank them among the other 30 or the other 28 that I've already done. Not going to play music from them. And then, yeah, that's it. Going to talk about a couple shows. Winter 1976. We're in the final 2 weeks of the tour. A tour that has been better than I thought it was, mainly because of all the solos. Frank's guitar solos, Napoleon's sax solos, Andre Lewis's keyboard synth solos have all been absolutely amazing. There's issues in the set list on a night after night basis. Don't need to hear the freak out medley every night, but okay. These are two really good sounding shows. The first show, Berlin, March 4th, I think is an FM broadcast show. Really good sound. Starts off a little weak, but by like Filthy Habits, it's super clean and good. The other one's maybe a little bit weaker, more of like a B plus versus an A minus. But they're both pretty good sounding shows. Neither or one of them does not have a complete set list. We're missing a Zoodle Lures on one, something Frank's been doing. I don't know if the show times have been shorter because the shows are shorter. I mean, I don't know if he's just allotted less time in some of these or who knows. But anyways, let's get to them. March 4th, 1976, Berlin, the first of the two shows. Sound check. We actually get a little 7 minutes of this band sound checking while there were people in the audience as they clap at one point. We get a little bit of Disco Boy. We get a jam. We get a little bit of Miss Pinky. The music only. I don't think words in any of these. Camarillo, some Finder Finer, which had been played earlier in the tour and dropped. Yeah. And then when Frank says, hey, all right, thanks, we're done, we're ready. We're going to go backstage. We'll be back in a little while. Over the PA, they play Saturday Night Special by Leonard Skinner. So that drops in, and you can hear it pretty clearly before it cuts off. I thought that was cool. Then we get the show. Navel, Inca to open. We get a Stinkfoot. The Poodle gets fired because apparently the Poodle got lost somewhere. Nobody knows where he is, or he broke apart. So we get no Fido. We get no Poodle, which means we get no Poodle lecture. It is a show without a Poodle lecture because there's literally no Poodle. The guitar solo, super strong, super aggressive, super solid. Awesome way to start the show. No Poodle lecture. Dirty Love, Filthy Habits, Andre as always is fantastic. Frank starts off really nice and clean, really focused. I think this is a show where he is engaged with the guitar. He has ideas. He's committing to them. It's like he has a plan from the get-go. He's kind of dancing around, a little bit delicate. We kind of slowly build the filthiness. Doesn't reach any epic heights, but it's a really nice, it's not like he's searching for ideas and it just kind of nothing happens and he goes into the breakdown. He's got ideas. They're not the strongest. He's not really going out there, but it's a nice focused solo. We get the breakdown, which is really calm, just kind of really calm. Frank is in super chill, clean sounding tone mode for this breakdown. And then when we go into the final, it's loud and we're going to bring the crazy energy as we close out the song. Interesting Filthy Habits. Get the Freak Out medley, which is cut in the beginning. We get a Black Napkins, in which we get some more Miss Pinky talk in the intro, only it's not as long as previous Miss Pinky talks in the intro. Couple minutes of that. Saxophone solo is awesome. Really soulful, really kind of chill, builds nicely, but never gets too absolutely crazy. And it really feels like Frank gives Napoleon a lot of time in these sax solos, 4 or 5 minutes. This seems like it's maybe 5 to 6 minutes long. It is just such a well-developed, well-paced, slowly building sax solo. Absolutely amazing. But then we get what could qualify as, what one could argue for as maybe the best Black Napkins solo ever. Maybe the most aggressive, crazy, what the heck is going on that stage Black Napkin solo ever. So Frank comes in, super soft, super delicate. He's very much playing in the vibe of Napoleon. It's kind of beautiful. It's kind of not necessarily a Pink Napkins, but it's a delicate pinker Napkins type of vibe. And we get a full 4 minutes of this. Like Frank is taking his time with this solo, crafting something that's just beautiful. Like he always introduces the song as being about love, and then recently he's been throwing Miss Pinky in there to just muddy the waters. This evokes images of love and not Miss Pinky. But then he stops because apparently the audience is talking and he's like, what are you doing? Talking when I'm making this beautiful solo, man. He like berates the audience and goes, is this what you want? You want something? So then he just goes into beast mode. Like, yeah, this is what you want. And he just attacks. Full on thrashing, metal, noisy, aggressive, off the rails, beast mode. Like, we get a 4-minute Pink Napkin solo. We get 6 minutes of pure, frank, metallic insanity. It is just absolutely ferocious. And after the first 2 minutes, you're like, oh, wow, it's another minute, another minute. Wait, we're going again. It's dissolving into chaos. What is happening here? It's one of those where I'm like, I love the original Black Napkin solo, the one that was edited down to be released on Zoodalures. I love those Japan solos, the third and the fifth. Those things are epic. I love everything from like the Winter 77 tour. I think that was the best version of the song. And I'm always kind of hesitant to pick something that's ultra aggressive and noisy and thrashy and metal and maybe relies more on brute force than it does on any sort of technical abilities. But again, what Frank is doing when he's unleashing this metallic fury also highlights his chops. I'm putting this in the hat for best Black Napkins guitar solo ever. It is a must hear. Like if you don't do anything else for the rest of the day, go to YouTube, find the show for March 4th. I know it's on there. Black Napkins is indexed. Listen to the entire thing because the Napoleon solo is fantastic. If you can't do that, skip ahead to about the 6-minute mark. I think that's when he starts, maybe the 7-minute mark. Listen to that Frank solo and tell me it's not one of the most just brilliantly ferocious solos ever. Like, it's good stuff. Even the closing, when they close out the theme, he's still going off and it's still crazy. Absolutely amazing. Then we get an Advanced Romance, which is also super tasty. The Andre solo, super tasty. The Frank, chill for a while, super awesome. Then he turns up the volume and he turns up the intensity. Then he starts getting heavier, drops in some voltage controlled filter action like they do in shit like he does in Ship Ahoy. Starts to dig in. Way too short of a solo, but for what he gives us for an Advanced Romance solo, might be one of the best Advanced Romance solos of the tour. Pales in comparison to Black Napkins, because most things do, especially this version, but a really good Advanced Romance. Then we get a Honey and an Illinois Enema Bandit. The intro's just painful at this time. It's just painful. Frank has issues with intelligent women. Like if there seems to be something inside him. I mean, it's 4 minutes of him rooting on sexual assault. It's a rough listen. I understand it's a true story. You can tell this true story in a way where you're not like, I have issues with this. The song itself, love the intro. The solo is nice and aggressive and bluesy. Another absolutely fantastic solo to redeem what, for me at this point, is just getting to be a real painful intro. Then we go into Dynamo Hum. Yeah, we go into Dynamo Hum. We don't get a Torture because that's been dropped by now. We don't get a Chungas. We will get a Chungas. We go into Dynamo Hum. Then we do the Inca closing. Then for the encore, we get a Chunga's Revenge. We get a sax solo, which is super hectic, a lot of effects on the sax. We go into the Weirdness Jam. We go into an Andre Jam that kind of morphs into this really, really awesome blues jam. And Frank is really busy on the rhythm guitar. And we go into this whole new section that doesn't even sound like Chunga's Revenge. Absolutely amazing Andre jam because the whole band is involved. It's not just him soloing. He is the featured player. But what this band is laying down here, it's special. It's good. Then we get a little drums, and then we get a San Bernardino to close. This is a fantastic show. No poodle lecture. Yes, the Illinois Enema Band intro sucks, but then we get maybe one of the best, top 5 Black Napkins, top 2 Black Napkins ever. Maybe one. I like Thoughts. Really good Advance, really good Illinois. Fantastic show. That's the 4th, March 4th, 1976. The other show I'm going to talk about is March 6th, 1976. Another really good show. Both of these shows, I've done 30 shows after this, are in the top 15. They're both in the upper half of these shows, sound-wise, performance-wise, everything about it. And I will say, in a sense, looking at the show and like looking at the notes and my experience, in a weird way, this was kind of an average show for this tour. It's still in the top 15, but there's nothing that really jumps out as like mind-blowingly spectacular, but it just kind of shows like you have a good recording of this band and there's not bad tape cuts or Frank's not doing anything ridiculous as far as talking during most of his Black Napkin solo as he did in a show previously. These are really good average shows. The average show on this tour is a good show. Naval Inca to open. We get a Stinkfoot. Fun, high energy, super aggressive. Poodle lecture, 3.5 minutes. It's back. Apparently they have a new dog. Dirty Love, Filthy Habits. Andre's awesome. Frank is super sinister from the start. Oh, yeah, I even wrote in my notes, like, ZFT should be leasing out Andre's synth solos in Filthy Habits to like Halloween stores or to like spooky stuff or like movies, because Andre's vibe and his jam and his synth sounds, they're filthy, they're evil. There's like a Halloween spookiness to them that absolutely works. Frank rides that energy. He's super menacing. He's super in attack mode. Really brings it down during the breakdown. Calms it down, but it still stays kind of trippy. Really good Filthy Habits. Like Andre solo, Frank solo, the breakdown. This is a really solid, excellent Filthy Habits. There are better Filthy Habits. There are worse Filthy Habits. But this is one of those Filthy Habits you're like, man, I want to see this tour because of Filthy Habits. Freak Out Medley, Black Napkins. I think he quotes the Betty Hill theme during his sax solo, if I'm not mistaken. Frank's is pretty delicate. It's kind of long, kind of tiered, where he starts off delicate, builds the intensity, never gets too fiery, never gets too insane. It's a pretty controlled, reined in Black Napkins. Still a good listen. Advanced Romance, Andre kills it again. Frank Zappa solo, super playful, kind of low key. But we're sticking with that Advanced Romance vamp for a long time. We're not deviating from that as we do on other times. And at one point after we're just doing this for a while, Frank just gets really aggressive. Like, hey, I got to leave something behind here. And just kind of gets super aggressive and kind of establishes a different vibe than other Advanced Romance solos. And it makes it kind of super interesting. I don't know if it's the best solo if I had to listen to it over and over again, but for like a one-time listen, I was like, yeah, that's a pretty interesting little outing right there. Yeah, really interesting. One of the things I like about Advanced Romance and Illinois Enema Bandit and Torture Never Stops on this tour is I don't think Frank really figured out what to do with any of these 3 songs on this tour. And in later tours, he would kind of commit to one thing and, it would be less interesting from night to night. Those 3 songs, Advance, Illinois, and Torture, they may not be the best on any given night. They're usually not the worst, but I think they're always like, what's going to happen tonight? Advanced Romance, this is one of those. Honey, Illinois with a 4-minute intro. The energy going into the solo is fantastic. I think Frank is playing along with rhythm as we get the final vocals before the solo, and that energy just kind of works its way into the actual solo section. It's really good, great solo. Another one that's like, just go longer. Like, I think it's just too short, but what you're giving us when you're giving us stuff is fantastic. And then we get a Torture Never Stops. About a week and a half ago, tour-wise, not in real life, Frank had stopped playing Torture on a regular basis, and it pops up like, I'm thinking there were like 14 shows remaining when it stopped being played. I think it pops up 6 times. This is one of those times. It is such a weird beast at this point, this version of Torture with that dun-dun-dun. It's really minimalistic almost, has a very menacing quality, like Halloween's on my mind now because it's Halloween today. Almost like an original, maybe if they updated Halloween, but really almost used the same screenplay and almost the same shot-by-shot remake, but it was just a little more modern. Like the Torture would be a good little soundtrack, like dun-dun-dun. What's that? Michael Myers around the corner. Interesting Torture. The solo is super weird. We got a lot of VCF like tinge stuff going on. Gets super metallic. Another one that while he's going, this is a pure beast of a solo. It's just too short. It just needs to go on longer because you're like, oh, where's this going to end up? Where we go? Oh, it ended. Like you're engaged. It just seems to be like the plug gets pulled too early. Then we get a Chungas. Great saxophone as always. Great Napoleon jam. Really good. Nappy is killing it. Fantastic. This is like the, I wrote this as like the triple black diamond slope of sax soloing. It's just like Nappy is going full speed through like a slalom course and just, but it's like, or not even a slalom course. So you're just going straight down like a black diamond run and you just got to make cuts the entire time or you're going to end up like, going off the side of a mountain. Absolutely exhilarating sax solo. We get the weirdness, very Miss Pinky-centric as far as the things the bass player is saying. And this is one of those tapes where you can hear like the vocal, what he's actually saying in the vocalizations more than on some of the earlier tapes where it's a lot muddier. I think it's worse when you can hear him. Like it was much more interesting early in this tour. You'd get a sax solo, the bass player would do stuff, you get an Andre solo, and early on during that bass player stuff, Andre was doing stuff, Frank was doing stuff. What the bass player did was sometimes an actual solo, sometimes he's singing those, falsetto things. It's a lot more singy now, and it's a lot more jokes, and it's Miss Pinky-centric. I just don't think it's as interesting. And then we go into Andre. Andre goes into this super cool jam that just feels special. And I have a request to Coaster Magic X2. I think that's the full name. Is there a 2 in there? Coaster Magic X2, is that your name? Awesome YouTuber who has done these things where he'll take every single available Dupree's Paradise from, say, a given tour and just like, you'll hear the first one from the head, and then you get the solos, and then when the first solo ends, you'll cut to the next performance's solo, and then so like it's a collection of solos from a given tour. If you have the time or the inclination or the desire to do a mass of every single Andre Lewis Chunga's Revenge solo from Winter 76, I would love to hear that because I really do feel like those are slightly different every night. And maybe that's just me, I'm not listening to them back to back. I'm taking days off between when I listen to these. Maybe that's just me forgetting, but each one seems like it's getting a little more interesting, especially as the tour goes on. And I would love to hear just an extended listen of all of these if you want. Then we got drums, then we got a zoot. Sound is really good for zoot. It just, all the little nuances jump out. Pretty aggressive solo once we get to the solo part. It's like he's searching for something, but he's focused in his searching. He doesn't really lock in on any given idea. We get really quiet, hippie-ish for a while. Kind of reminds me of like a 74 Dead vibe when they would go into those long jams. And we just get like these little quiet pockets of psych meandering. That's kind of where Zappa is at this point. It's like melodic and soft, but also it's kind of slightly driven. Then we go into Ship Ahoy, and then we get for encores a Camarillo Muffin Man. 2 really strong shows in the upper half. If I had to rank them among the other 28 I've already done, I have the Berlin one all the way up in number 4. I mean, that Black Napkins solo alone. If there was a Zoot Allures in this show, in that Berlin show, it might jump up to 3. It might jump up to 2. The Filthy, yeah. But that Black Napkins, it's got to be in the top 5 because that Black Napkins is a special, Black Napkins. And then down at 13, I have the 6th show, which is just an average show. It's in the middle, but average is good. I enjoyed the show. It was a good listen. So yeah, that's what I got. Those are my thoughts on these 2 tours. Go check out the Black Napkins. March 4th, 1976, Berlin, Germany. That thing is crazy. Absolutely crazy. Go listen to it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Peace. Talk to you later.